Good morning, folks. We start off with a little bit of my boy Chad's music. Um, yeah, this just to get my day started. Good morning, folks. It's coming to you not live. As you all saw in my last video, I had a few issues. Make sure you guys can hear me. And I apologize about that. I'll do whatever is in my power this month to get the best service that I can. And happy Labor Day. I want to come to you all on my regular broadcast with a little bit of an explainer, a holiday special, if you will, and honestly, an excerpt to what I was supposed to be talking about in my last video. And I'm going to keep that video up because I think, first of all, I put some really great resources in there. But overall, it's just a good learning experience for me to kind of, use that and go back to that as a, example and model of what I don't really want to be doing. But because I want clear videos, I want videos that people can relate to and people that are going to share them and be entertained by. But at the end of the day, it's about the knowledge that I'm getting out and the resources, as I said. So the video before this one, check it out, like it, subscribe, and definitely read those articles because those are things that people take a lifetime to learn. How to mingle and how to cohabitate and interact with the larger world around them. And the resources I shared are pieces that investigate how we are currently doing that right now. As a matter of fact, that's where I want to pick up on where I left off and what I feel was not really audible and what I was trying to convey in that last video. And that's this idea of Jedi. The acronym stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And, I know when we hear the word Jedi, right, not the acronym JEDI, we think of Star Wars, right? And the group of, sorcerers, sorcerers that travel intergalactically to provide justice and bring order. Now, the reason why I went into that yesterday is because, we were talking a lot about sociology and how specifically how we communicate with our phones, the Apple devices, and, we talked about Silicon Valley. But when you think about that, right, it is ironic that we are so mainstream, right, and interconnected and globalized by use of technology. As I said, it becomes ironic that we cancel things so much, right? Like even just thinking about the way I had to phrase that, because I'm tiptoeing around the fact that there is just a whole lot of information that people will never be able to obtain, specifically in the workforce. I'm thinking about Labor Day today and how people are consumed by advertisements in mainstream popular culture. So much so that we incorporate that into our workforce models and representations of what we realize is good, work management, if you will, our professional development, more specifically, to give you the correct term. That's professional development. Professional development arises when an organization has a mechanistic aspect of doing their day-to-day protocols and keeping a systematic order and flow that is not coercive, right? and that's cooperative, right? A cooperative professional setting is what most people ask for. And Jedi is supposed to bring that. They use the acronym, and they being the human resources, the interventionists, the workplace safety monitors, those kind of people, right? They, the inspectors, if you will. They are using that, and this is a national kind of acronym that is being used, and standard, if you will, standard that's being set, just like any other training video, right? They use the Jedi: justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in the workforce. Now, I myself have had to use that in certain jobs that I work, speaking to those Jedi counselors, if you will, right? And that article is a good article. I think it was pushing a little bit on the more cautionary side, but it's a good message for people to realize that it's not about the accessibility or fluidity of a system. It's about how well it's working, because you want to see the best standards in your workplace, and you want to have a successful competitive business. So I won't rag too much about Jedi, because I already put the article in my prior video about that, and what it really actually means in everybody's lives, in our day-to-day lives. But I definitely want people to realize that these things are constantly changing. And that's why I mentioned the toxic therapy issue, what's going on with the young lady who's a therapist. They call her a TikTok therapist, okay, because she went on social media trashing men and basically just kind of saying some really despicable things about men. And she did it in such a way where the analysis wasn't really provided. It was just more of like talking down to you, and more of a complaint more than actual evidence, which is what you're supposed to use in the science field, right? And I'm going to drop a thumbnail about this Labor Day, today, and where we've been, as I said, in some of my other videos this year, right? With so many issues going on this year, from the war, from the infamous Chris Rock slap by Will Smith, and you see the thumbnail that I'm going to drop, and talk about a little bit more now, and that's the Amazon labor union, right? We saw that this year, 2 young gentlemen from the inner city starting up a whole union, right? And not just any union, we're talking about a union from probably the biggest business in the world today, and that's Amazon. And the man's name is Chris Smalls, the president who started that independent union that unfortunately we just found out a few days ago was not able to become a certified represented union in the state of New York. And that's sad. That's sad because I'm enjoying my day off. I'm going to enjoy it. And that's what we're supposed to do on Labor Day. Is recognize that. This is real stuff. People have sacrificed for our rights to enjoy a day off, to get a holiday, to get a paid working holiday check, to as I say, get breaks, and to have health care, right? These are transformative, major changes in our society that we've not necessarily seen in like my lifetime, right? But in like my mother's lifetime, my grandmother's lifetime, right? My grandfather's lifetime, he has, for example, my grandfather has reaped those benefits from the labor movements. starting business 40, 50 years ago, right? And well, actually my grandfather is probably not the best example because he's a small business and he doesn't really have too many employees. But you get my point that the better society treats its workers, the better everybody does. I don't mean to sound like Joe Biden, put my Joe Biden hat on, or speech on, or sunglasses on. But that's what the president constantly says. The better the middle class does, right? The better this whole country does, and that is true. I've seen it, right? But it takes us really recognizing those implementations and those standards that are set and that are regulated, but are ultimately created by the people, right? So I'm gonna look at my notes just to make sure I don't forget anything. Talked about toxic therapy and social responsibility. Yeah, there were a bunch of terms that I threw out yesterday, and I'm not going to be doing this a lot, but this week, going into the month of September, ending a very important month, right in the heart of the summer, where people don't really want to work. They just want to relax and think about their next business move. But unless you are Jeff Bezos or somebody like that, we have to work. Ethnocentrism is a big deal in the workplace and how we judge people. I know I talked about that, and again, I apologize for my last video being real choppy. Deviance, communication and bureaucracy. The networks, alienation, community-based corrections, diffusion, right? Diffusing the situation, social responsibility. I could go out and define all that for you, but I just want you guys to think about that stuff, because these are all, as I said, sociological terms. There's my book right here on my desk, right? And I'm going to be learning this stuff for the rest of my life. Seeing it in different settings, different people taking the case studies, right? And that's what it's all about. Just to kind of put this video to an end, it's about taking that risk when it's all said and done, right? Taking a chance, putting yourself out there. If you want to see change, do it, be it. Create it, run for office. If you don't want to see Elon Musk, like me, putting space territories right in the middle of the city, and he's not providing anything for that city that I know of, don't just complain about there not being diversity at your workplace. Let people know about your job. Bring that up to the manager, to the supervisor, to the owner, right? To the executive board. That's what it's about. Even Kobe Bryant, one of my heroes, would always say, and I definitely should look up the quote just to make sure I'm not butchering it, and I will do that because I respect Kobe Bryant. Something about life's journey. Where is that quote? Quotes. Those times when you get up early and you work hard. Those times when you stay up late and you work hard. Those times when you don't feel like working. You're too tired. You don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination. It's the journey. Thank you all for that patience, because like I said, I got a lot of respect for Kobe, and he definitely was a man who lived his journey, flaws and all. And that's what it's about. And actually Kobe Bryant was very political. He was a man who believed in his team getting their benefits and getting their recognition. when Hurricane Katrina happened, when there were, I think Michael Brown was shot in Ferguson, right? With the series of shootings, he went out on a whim, and even thinking about his relationship with Nipsey Hussle, right? Kobe Bryant was a worker. He was a man who came from a lineage of athletes, and that driving force, I think, served him well as a captain of his team and the captain of the 2012 Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. So, I'm not going to go too deep into the terms, but I'll end by saying that this video is a little bit longer on this Labor Day holiday special being broadcast to you, uploaded by me, Saray Rogers, because I just want us to all think about, and again, I won't be boggling down everybody with the sociological terms, but the way we interact with one another, more specifically, our awareness, how we are culturally aware of our our habits, our actions, our day-to-day goals in life. What's the makeup behind that? What's the center focal point of that? Thank you, Chad, for all the music. Let me give you a break right now. My boy Chad Morris, he's on iTunes. You guys should check him out. Great guitarist, and he's a hard worker. This is important that we get out of this gridlock. And as I said earlier in the beginning, Jedi is important to think about, because that's what is being used right now in human resources in all domains of work. And particularly in the education field, we use assessments, right? Like the multiple intelligences, or your Gallup strengths, right? Where they find out what are your best strengths and personality and traits that are used and implemented at work. But more important to that, in these, models or devices, if you will, modules or devices, we have to get an actual mandated and recommended federal training. And I'm going to be bringing that up more, because I have, as I said in my prior video, a bunch of leaders in this field that I look up to, and that was recommended. I would be lying if I was pretending like that was one of my recommendations, because it's not. From a man named Arami Osei Frimpong, who focuses on these issues as a sociologist, as a labor activist, and so shout out to him. And I'm going to try to find that video where I was taught that by him, or introduced that topic through him, and by watching, following, being subscribed to his channel. And honestly, it was probably on the video where he talks about the Amazon labor success story with Chris Smalls, right? When it first happened, there was a lot of buzz about that in the beginning of this year, this spring. And unfortunately, we're not hearing too much of that now. But, it is what it is. I'm going to end this video in this last couple of seconds by saying that this stuff is important to me. Meeting people on a day-to-day, sharing my YouTube channel, sharing my stories as a teacher. I met a young guy at 7-Eleven last week, and I was actually driving in there into the gas station, because it was a 7-Eleven at a gas station, and I saw the young guy in a BMW, and he was just kind of like looking at me when I was driving in. And I go in there, get my coffee, and I'm standing in line, about to check out, and he's just standing right there behind me. Young, athletic guy, not too much younger than me. And I saw the look on his face. I'm like, man, how are you doing? Everything okay? He was like, yeah, I mean, everything cool, man. How about you, man? How's that work going? Just kind of creating this small talk. And I honestly don't remember how that conversation got initiated other than me turning around, looking at him, wondering why he was, I guess, being drawn into me for whatever reason. Um, and he'd end up just sharing his Instagram with me, and he has a pretty good business. I won't share what that business is, but he, I appreciated that interaction because I don't know this guy. I just, he's a young African American guy, looks like me, right? Nice car, at the gas station, at the thrift store, and he just says, "Hey man, I want to meet you." Like it's that kind of stuff that why I get on here and try to share what I can about not just work, not just educational matters, but our everyday interactions that mean the most and that are actually pivotal to creating constant and sustainable change amongst any demographic or peer group. Um, and that's what this is all about. That's what sociology is all about. That's what philosophy is all about. That's what music interaction is all about. And again, I thank you all for trusting me and being with me on this journey. And trust me, I have a lot more to come, and it's going to get better and better and better and better. Have a great day. Enjoy your Labor Day. Stay cool and have fun. Take care. See you soon.